going to talk about scholarships today. And I've titled this Applying for Scholarships 101. So this is a entry-level discussion about scholarships. Walking away from here, I'm hoping you kind of have a grasp for how to apply for scholarships, what they are, and an idea of some different types of scholarships that are out there and what you need to start the application process. This is not an intensive presentation, so please know that you may need to follow up with me later to actually get through what scholarships you specifically should be applying for. This is kind of a general scholarship presentation. Alrighty, so today we are going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about some tips to help you win scholarships because there are lots of scholarships out there and they are competitive. So we want to make sure that your application is the best that it can possibly be. We're going to talk about how to get organized to apply for scholarships, what you will need, and some of those include transcripts, a personal statement, resume, letters of recommendation. And then we are also going to talk about some places where you can find scholarships. Two of them being Idaho CIS, and we'll talk about that, and then the Skyview College and Career website. When I talk about a specific website or a link, Mrs. Heston is going to put it into the chat so you can grab those and download them and have them for later. So please keep that information. However, you will be able to access any files or links on this chat even after this particular presentation ends. So don't feel like you have to save everything. All right, so we're going to talk about the big picture being financial aid. So financial aid is an umbrella term for just the many different ways to pay for college, right? So financial aid includes scholarships, so that's free money that you get, typically from a college or a private entity. Grants, that's free money you get from the federal government, and that's money that you can get by completing what's called the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. There's also work study that also comes from the federal government, and that's where you can get a job like on campus and you get paid to have that job and you can use that money to go toward your tuition, and it is non-taxed, which is a pretty big deal because if any of you guys have a job, you know that income tax takes a lot of your money, right? So work study is a really cool option. And then of course there are loans. So that's money that you borrow and pay back. Not all loans are created equally. We can have different conversations about loans, grants, and work study. Today, we're going to focus primarily on scholarships, though. We do want to talk about those other elements, but because it does get kind of complicated, I just want to focus on one thing at a time. But I promise you that we can talk more about grants, work study, and loans as we get closer. So there are a couple of different types of scholarships. There's institutional scholarships. These come from the college, right? So this is where the college or university gives you a scholarship. These can be based off of test scores, your GPA, or sometimes even financial need. Some colleges will have what's called an automatic award. So that means all you have to do is apply to the college and you automatically get awarded a certain number, a certain amount of scholarship money based off of your GPA and your test score. So typically, the higher your GPA, the higher your test scores, the more financial aid you will get from that particular college in scholarship money. However, there are other applications you may have to complete as well. So not all colleges work like that. Some of them will say you have to complete our separate college scholarship application. And then some of them will have those automatic awards, and then they will also have a specific college application that you can apply for scholarships in addition to that. So you need to know, does this college require additional applications for financial aid, or is it automatic award, or is it both? Some of them are all of it. Then we have merit or athletic scholarships. So these are based off of talent. So they might be a variety of different types of talent. So you usually have to like audition or try out or be recruited. So that would be, you know, you play basketball and you get recruited by a specific college in a certain division, or you are a cheerleader, or you play in band, you're in choir, things like that, where you may have to audition or submit like a copy of your portfolio for like art, those kinds of things. So these often come from the college as well, but not just the overall college, they'll come from a department. So the College of Arts and Sciences, you know, might give you a specific merit-based scholarship based off of, you know, your merit or talent. And then there are private scholarships. So private scholarships are what we're going to talk about mostly today. So these come from businesses and foundations, and they often award scholarships to students based on a variety of criteria. So these will not come from the college, and they will require extra work outside of just applying to college. So sometimes when I'm talking to students, they will say, well, I already applied and I'm admitted, so I'm ready to go. I'm like, okay, have you been applying to any scholarships? Like, well, I already got admitted. So you still have to apply to scholarships, and it will vary based off of the different scholarship entity as to what you'll need to do. So we'll talk a little bit about what that process looks like. All right, so these are the 5 tips to help you win private scholarships. So these are scholarships typically outside of the college or that require an additional application. So my first suggestion is to start local. Next would be to start early. So now is a really good time to start getting organized and start planning how you are going to apply for scholarships. Know the mission, so know what the goal is, and to be genuine. A lot of times people kind of try to focus on what they think the college or the scholarship committee wants to hear, and that's actually not the best option for you. We're going to talk about those 5 things. All right, so first of all, how do you get organized? What do you need to do? Scholarships will require a variety of materials. So different scholarships will require different things. They may require, but are not limited to the following. So like a high school transcript, you might need a resume, you might need an ACT or SAT score. And on that note, we're gonna do our first trivia question. Go ahead and put your answer into the chat right after I finish it. And if you are one of the fastest 3 people, you will be entered in for a raffle for a prize. What day is the SAT? What day is the SAT for juniors? Go ahead and enter that into the chat. Sounds like we're getting some good answers. Are we mostly correct, Mrs. Estan?
Mostly correct. Got a 17th and a 23rd for April, but mostly correct.
Okay, so it is April 13th. April 13th is the day that we are taking the SAT. A bonus question, so we're going to switch. So April 13th is the actual SAT, right? We do have an event that's coming up to help you prepare for the SAT called the SAT Crash Course. Who can say when that is? Who knows what day the SAT Crash Course is? Go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm loving all the dings. It means you guys are answering. If you are interested in participating in the SAT Crash Course, please come to the Career Center and pick up an application. And how did we do on that one? Were we correct? Perfect. March 13th. Way to go, guys. Okay, March 13th is the SAT Crash Course. If you would like to participate and attend that event, you just need to pick up an application from the Career Center. And when I say application, it's really just a form, so it's not like you wouldn't get in. Everyone gets in. It is free. It is that March 13th is a Saturday, though, so make sure that you're prepared to miss some Saturday time. Okay. So scholarships will require a variety of materials, such as your high school transcript. And your high school transcript has all of your grades for your entire high school career. So typically they will want a high school transcript from the end of junior year. So that will be all of your grades through junior year. As you get closer to like the spring of your senior year, more grades will be required. But just make sure that you're aware that when you're submitting that transcript, if you have any like credit recovery classes you need to finish up, make sure you do that before the end of this year so that your transcript is accurate. If you are taking any classes at a college outside of Skyview, so like you're taking classes at CWI or Boise State, make sure that those credits get transcribed. So you need to bring a copy of your transcript from the college to Skyview so it can be transcribed and show up on your transcript so you get credit for that. Okay, it will also potentially ask you for your ACT or SAT score, a resume, personal statement, we're going to talk about each of these, and letters of recommendation. So these are things that you need to start working on getting organized for when the scholarship process starts. All right, so transcripts. We just kind of talked a little bit about what your transcript is. Your transcript is your entire high school career grades, right? So all of them will be on there. My biggest tip is to request these early. So you will need to request transcripts for scholarships, for college applications. And we come to another trivia question. So go ahead and get your chats ready. You request your transcript from the high school registrar. Who knows who our registrar is? The Skyview High School registrar, what is her name at Skyview? I'll give you a hint. Her office is located across from Mrs. Voth, next to Mrs. Petty. How are we doing?
Kate got it right with Barker. Someone said me, which that's flattering.
Close. That's nice. Yeah. Cade, you nailed it. Mrs. Barker. Mrs. Barker is our registrar. You will need to ask for transcripts from her, and they will need to be official. So sometimes students come into the Career Center and they'll ask for a copy of their transcript, and that's fine. We can usually get you one, but sometimes it's tricky for us to make it official. So it's usually best to ask Mrs. Barker if you can, and make sure you give her plenty of notice. So if you need a transcript for a scholarship that's due March 1st, you should be asking her like February 15th. So you have plenty of time, 2 weeks in advance. On the transcripts, if you would like a copy of your transcript just because you want to know where you're at and what it says, you're welcome to request one at any time. And that one wouldn't need to be official, so you could ask us in the Career Center and we could print one off for you super easy. All right, next item you'll need is a resume. If you do not already have a resume, you need to create one. It doesn't necessarily need to be a work resume, though a work resume and a scholarship resume can often be really similar, if not the same. And not all scholarships require a resume, but many will. And if you have it all organized, it will help you because some scholarships have a specific form that they make you fill out where they ask you where you worked or where your volunteer work was, who is your supervisor, all that information, and that you could just copy and paste directly from your resume if it's already organized. So it is in your best interest to create a professional resume for scholarships. The Career Center can, of course, help you create this resume. We would be happy to. That's like one of our favorite things to do. You want to include things like clubs or organizations you've been involved in, any volunteer work you've done, if you've had the opportunity to study abroad, that stuff you want to include, jobs, and, if you haven't had a job before, but if you have, babysat, or if you have cat sat, or if you have even like mowed your neighbor's lawn, anything like that where you had a similar type of experience, we can include that on your resume. If you're not sure what to include on your resume, you're like, Mrs. Essman, I haven't done very much, I promise you we can find things to put on your resume. Please come see us in the Career Center so we can help you. Okay, next thing that you need is a personal statement. The personal statement is basically a chance for the scholarship committee to get to know you. And so these are the 3 tips for your personal statement. Typically, a personal statement is an essay or like an autobiography, right? So it can vary between like how long it is. Oftentimes the average is like 500 words. So that's about a page, not double spaced. And so you want to talk about yourself, introduce yourself, make sure the scholarship committee can know who you are and understand your voice. So you want to make it personal. So you want to tell the truth about who you are. You don't want to make yourself seem better than you are. You want to be honest and genuine. Avoid using vague statements. I've been involved in a variety of volunteer work, and I think volunteer work is valuable. That's a vague statement, right? So instead of saying that, tell the story of the volunteer work you have done. I often tell students to show, not tell. So instead of telling me that you are involved in a specific activity, set it up. When I was raking leaves for Rake Up Nampa, I had the following experience, and explain it, rather than just telling them I was involved in Rake Up Nampa. And then outline your goals. So they often want to know what you are going to do with the scholarship, right? So they want to know, are you planning on going to college, trade school? Are you planning on going overseas? Are you doing a mission work? Like, what is your plan? And impress the reader with your dreams. Don't sell yourself short. Tell them exactly what you'd like to do. If your end goal is to be a brain surgeon and you don't know for sure if you're going to make it that far, that's okay. Tell us you want to be a brain surgeon and tell me your plan to get there. If you have absolutely no idea what you would like to do, that's also okay. Just give some ideas of things you are considering and why, and be honest. You can say, I am not 100% sure what I'm going to do with my life, but here are some things that I have planned out. And that's okay. They would rather have an honest answer than a fake one. Okay, there is a myth out there that scholarships are only for people with really high GPA and really high test scores. That is just not true. So there are scholarships for everyone. There are scholarships based off of ethnicity and background, your hobbies and talents. I am still looking for someone who is a member of the snowmobiling club. Anyone do that? If you happen to be a member of the snowmobiling club, please come see us in the Career Center. Last year, we met a student that we didn't know was like a professional bowler, and that blew our minds, but she got bowling scholarships. So there are scholarships for all sorts of things. There's a scholarship for if you have one green eye, one blue. There's a scholarship for students with red hair. There's a scholarship for if you are willing to make your prom dress out of duct tape. There are scholarships for if you come from a single parent household. There are scholarships for financial need, all sorts of different things. So please don't think that because you don't have the best GPA in the world that you can't get financial aid. You absolutely can. It might take some work though, so you have to be willing to put in the effort. I have some pictures on here. The reason I put the dog in there is that there is a scholarship from the Kennel Club, and you do write an essay about your love of your pets and how you have a relationship with animals and how that has enhanced your life. So there, like I said, there are scholarships for everybody. All right, so these are some examples of different scholarships that our seniors are like currently working on. There is the Jiffy Lube scholarship, and if you guys read this, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but at the very bottom it says juniors who have a license could apply now. So you can actually apply for this scholarship twice. You can apply for it junior year, and then you can apply for it again your senior year. So the Jiffy Lube scholarship is a 500-word essay on your motivation, on what drives you. So this essay, you really want to focus on why you do the things that you do. And oftentimes people talk about, you know, what motivates them to go to college. And you can write about that, but you could also write about what motivates you to be a good person, what motivates you to work hard, what motivates you to be a good brother, or motivates you to look after your siblings. Anything like that that is personal would be a good option. Skyview historically does really well with this particular scholarship, so let's keep that up. Last year, Tegan Perryman won the top scholarship, which is $4,000. If you go to Jiffy Lube's website, you can watch her video and read her essay so you can see what kind of examples would be good ones. And this one does not have a GPA requirement, so anyone can apply for that scholarship. You just have to have either been taking driver's ed, be taking driver's ed, or have a driver's license. Next one, we've got that West Valley Medical Center. This is for students interested in the healthcare industry. So if you would like to become a nurse, a medical laboratory assistant, if you're interested in radiology, respiratory therapy, pharmacy, anything within the allied healthcare industry, you could potentially apply for this scholarship. And this one can only be used in Idaho or Oregon. It does have a GPA minimum of a 3.0. The Jiffy Lube scholarship can be used at any post-secondary institution, so you don't have to just use it in Idaho. Okay, and then the Elks Most Valuable Student Award. This is a really good one. This one has a early deadline for your senior year. It's usually due in about October. So that means that you really need to get the ball rolling senior year. It might even be earlier than October. It might be a September deadline. But the reason I like this scholarship is because there's so many different levels to it. So there is a local level of the Elks Most Valuable Student Scholarship. So our local Elks Club gives out $1,000 scholarships, and they usually give out about like 20 of them to Nampa students. And that's awesome. There's also a regional and a state and a national level. And so the scholarship amount ranges between $1,000 to almost $13,000 per year. So this one is a renewable scholarship if you make it to the national level. This one can be used at any college, right? So anywhere you could go, any post-secondary institutions. That means that if you were interested in a trade school, you could use it there. If you are interested in a college or a university, you could use it there. It doesn't even say that it has to be within the United States. So if you plan to study abroad, this would be one that you could use there as well. Male and female students compete separately, and they give out 500 four-year scholarships at the highest rated applicants. All right, so those are just some examples of some scholarships and where you can find all of this information. These are a couple of places. Mrs. Heston, can you put these links into the chat? So the first one is Idaho CIS, that's Idaho Career Information System. And if your mentoring class may have looked at Idaho CIS last week or this week, you do need a login to access this information. There are thousands of scholarships on this website. It's possible that you've had a meeting with me and we went through CIS and saved some scholarship information for you. If you have not done that and would like to do that, you can set up a meeting with myself or Mrs. Hestand and we can identify scholarships that you should apply for and it will save it to your portfolio so you can track them. If you do not know your Idaho CIS login, that is okay. Me and Mrs. Hestand can look it up for you or help you create one. It's super easy, takes very little time. And then you can get started and look at all of these many scholarships. We also have a college and career website. We spend a lot of time on this, especially Mrs. Hestand, updating the scholarships. The Career Center posts helpful information there, so we have some tips and tricks on there, but we also have just a page dedicated specifically to scholarships. So sometimes businesses and foundations will email me or send me something in the mail and say, hey, Mrs. Essman, we would like you to share this information with your high school students to apply for these scholarships. And then we post them on this website. We delete them as the deadline passes. Right now, I believe we have about 2 or 3 scholarships on there that if you really wanted to, juniors could apply for right now. There's one that you write an essay about the Holocaust. There's one where you write an essay about the Constitution. Oftentimes, if it's one that's not a senior level requirement, it'll tell you have to write an essay or something. Essays are very common requirement for a scholarship application. Good news for you is that I have helped a lot of students write scholarship essays. And some of them have won scholarships. So if you would like to set up appointments to talk about what you need to have your essay look like, if you want some help coming up with an outline, or if you just would like me to edit your essay before you send it in, I'd be happy to do that. If you do not have me edit your essay, you need to have someone edit it. You can have an English teacher, your parents. Oftentimes 2 sets of eyes is a good idea. I sometimes tell the horror story of the student that I had who was incredibly bright, who was applying to the honors college at a school that he was really excited about. And in the subject line of the email that he sent to them, he misspelled the word college. And they did not accept him to the honors college, even though his application was beautiful and his essay was really well done. But because he just had a small typo in the subject line, they did not admit him to the honors college. So make sure that everything that you put through is checked and double checked. Alrighty, that was kind of a quick overview of scholarships and how to get started, what you will need, and to talk about some scholarships that are out there. If you have more questions, please reach out to us. You can come down to the Career Center. You can email me. My email is on there. Mrs. Hestand, can you put your email in the chat as well? You're welcome to reach out to us. And then we will go ahead and stop the recording here. And I will open it up if anybody has questions.